In the year 475 AD, a ship docked at the southern coast of China. On board was no general, no diplomat, no merchant. There were no soldiers, no weapons, no gold. There was only one man, a dark-skinned Indian prince with piercing eyes and bare feet. He carried nothing but a staff and the fire of an idea so powerful that it would reshape the soul of the largest civilization on earth. Within 2 centuries of his arrival, his teachings would be followed by 2 million monks. Temples built in his name would number 30,000. The most powerful emperors of China would kneel before his philosophy. And from his silent meditation in a mountain cave, 2 of the most iconic traditions in human history would be born: Zen Buddhism and Shaolin Kung Fu. His name was Bodhidharma, and this is the story of how an Indian prince conquered China without an army. Section 2. The Prince of Kanchi. To understand Bodhidharma, you must first understand where he came from. Around the year 440 AD, in the ancient city of Kanchipuram, the golden city of temples in southern India, a prince was born into the royal family of the Pallava dynasty. The Pallavas were no ordinary kingdom. They were one of the great powers of the Indian subcontinent, ruling a vast empire from their capital in what is today Tamil Nadu. Their architectural marvels, the rock-cut temples of Mahabalipuram, still stand as testimony to their grandeur and are recognized today as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Bodhidharma was born a Brahmin by caste and a prince by blood. The 3rd son of King Simhavarman, he grew up surrounded by wealth, power, and the finest education the ancient world could offer. The Pallava court was a center of Sanskrit learning, philosophical debate, and artistic excellence. He had every reason to stay. But Bodhidharma was not an ordinary prince. According to the account preserved by Osho, who spoke extensively on Bodhidharma's life, the young prince went to his father and made a request that stunned the entire court. He said, "Father, if you can save me from death, I will stay. But if you cannot prevent my death, then please, do not prevent me from seeking that which is beyond death." Think about that for a moment. A prince with an empire waiting for him, choosing the unknown over a throne, not out of weakness, but out of the deepest possible strength. The refusal to accept death as the final answer. His father, King Simhavarman, paused, and then, with the wisdom that ancient Indian culture cultivated in its kings, he replied, "I cannot prevent your death. You have chosen something higher than an empire. I will not stop you. Go with all my blessings." This was not unusual in ancient India. This was a civilization that considered the search for truth to be the highest human pursuit, higher than wealth, higher than power, higher than conquest. The fact that a king could let his son walk away from a throne to seek enlightenment tells you everything about the culture that produced Bodhidharma. The young prince then did something remarkable, something that, even today, challenges our assumptions. He sought initiation not from a famous monk or a powerful guru, but from a woman. Her name was Pragyatara, an enlightened Buddhist nun from the ancient heartland of Magadha, the very region where the Buddha himself had attained enlightenment centuries earlier. This detail is extraordinary. At a time when even Gautama Buddha himself had hesitated to ordain women into his monastic community, here was Bodhidharma, choosing a woman as his master. It was Pragyatara who recognized his potential. It was she who trained him, and it was she who gave him his life's mission: go to China. Section 4. The Voyage Across the Seas. Why China? Because Buddhism had already arrived there. but only as words on paper. 600 years before Bodhidharma's voyage, Indian monks had carried Buddhist scriptures along the Silk Road into China. By the 5th century, Buddhism had taken root across the Chinese Empire. Thousands of scholars were translating Pali and Sanskrit texts into Chinese. Monasteries were flourishing. Emperors were patronizing the new faith. But there was a problem. The monks who had come before Bodhidharma were scholars, brilliant, disciplined, and devoted. But according to the tradition preserved in multiple historical sources, not a single one of them was enlightened. They could explain the Buddha's words, but they could not transmit the Buddha's experience. China had received Buddhism's body, but not its soul. And so, following his master Pragyatara's command, Bodhidharma set sail from the ancient port of Mahabalipuram. The traditional overland route through Central Asia was blocked by the Huns, so he took the sea route, skirting the coast of India, passing through Southeast Asia, navigating the waters of the Malay Peninsula. The journey took 3 years. 3 years on the open sea, with nothing but the horizon ahead and an empire left behind. Imagine this Indian prince, a man who could have ruled millions, sitting on the deck of a merchant ship, learning Chinese as the coastline changed, preparing himself to deliver India's deepest wisdom to a civilization that had never encountered anything like it. Around 475 AD, Bodhidharma's ship made landfall at the port of Nanhai in southern China. He was approximately 35 years old. He had no army, no political backing, no institutional support. He had only what India had given him, a mind that had been set free. Section 4. The Emperor and the Monk. The most famous episode of Bodhidharma's time in China is his encounter with Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty, one of the most powerful rulers in Chinese history and a devoted patron of Buddhism. Emperor Wu had spent a fortune on the Buddhist cause. He had built magnificent temples. He had funded the translation of countless scriptures. He had fed and clothed thousands of monks. According to some accounts, the Buddhist establishment under his patronage included 30,000 temples and monasteries. He was, by any external measure, the greatest Buddhist patron China had ever seen. When Bodhidharma's reputation reached the imperial court, Emperor Wu invited this mysterious Indian monk for an audience. Picture the scene: the grand court of the Liang dynasty, silk banners hanging from the ceiling, courtiers arranged in rows, and on the throne, an emperor who believed he had accumulated a mountain of spiritual merit. Emperor Wu asked his first question. "I have built temples, funded monasteries, fed monks, and supported the translation of sacred texts. What merit have I earned?" Bodhidharma's answer was like a thunderbolt. No merit whatsoever. The court fell silent. The emperor was stunned. Every Buddhist monk before Bodhidharma had praised Wu's generosity, assured him of heavenly rewards, promised him divine merit. And here was this wild-looking Indian, with bulging eyes and an unshaved face, telling the most powerful man in China that everything he had done was worthless. But Bodhidharma was not being cruel. He was being honest in the way only an Indian mystic could be. His point was devastating in its simplicity. If you do good deeds with the expectation of reward, you have missed the entire point of the Buddha's teaching. The desire for merit is the problem. As Bodhidharma explained, on the path of Gautama Buddha, the very desire for reward comes from a greedy mind. A truly virtuous act is its own reward. The moment you ask, "What do I get?" you have already lost everything. The emperor, shaken, asked a second question. "What is the highest meaning of the holy truths?" Bodhidharma replied, "Vast emptiness, nothing holy." Emperor Wu, confused and perhaps offended, asked, "Who is this standing before me?" "I don't know," Bodhidharma said. This was not ignorance. This was the highest teaching of Indian philosophy, delivered in 3 words. The I is an illusion. The self that claims to know, to possess, to accumulate merit, it does not exist. This was pure Advaita, pure Shunyata, the emptiness that the Buddha had taught, expressed not as philosophy, but as lived reality. The emperor did not understand. Bodhidharma left the court. Section 6. The teaching. What India gave China. So what exactly did Bodhidharma teach? What was this Indian idea that was so powerful, it transformed a civilization? Before Bodhidharma, Chinese Buddhism was largely an intellectual exercise. Monks studied texts, debated philosophy, performed rituals, and accumulated knowledge. This was heavily influenced by the Confucian tradition, which valued scholarship, hierarchy, and external morality. Confucius himself did not believe in any inner spiritual reality. Everything, in his view, was external. Refine your behavior, polish your manners, follow the rules. But China was suffocating under this philosophy. As the great Chinese mystics, Lao Tzu, Chuang Tzu, had recognized, Confucianism denied the soul. It cut people off from their own inner depth. There was a spiritual vacuum. And when Buddhist scriptures arrived from India, the Chinese people drank them in like rain after a drought. But scriptures alone were not enough. What Bodhidharma brought was the living experience, the direct transmission of enlightenment from master to disciple, from mind to mind, without words, without scriptures, without rituals. His core teaching, as recorded in the texts attributed to him, can be summarized in a few revolutionary statements. Seeing your nature is Zen, not studying sutras, not performing rituals, not accumulating knowledge, simply seeing your own true nature. That is all. The mind is the Buddha. You do not need to search for enlightenment in temples, in scriptures, in holy places. The Buddha is not a statue. The Buddha is your own aware mind. In fact, as Red Pine's translation of the Bloodstream Sermon records, beyond this mind, you'll never find another Buddha. To search for enlightenment or nirvana beyond this mind is impossible. Buddhas don't save Buddhas. This was perhaps Bodhidharma's most revolutionary statement. Unlike Christianity, where Jesus is the savior, or Islam, where Muhammad is the prophet, Bodhidharma declared that no one can save you. You are already the Buddha. The only difference between an enlightened being and an ordinary person is that one is awake and the other is asleep. The sleeper is not inferior. He is simply unaware of what he already is. To seek is to suffer. To seek nothing is bliss. Every act of seeking takes you further from yourself. The treasure you're looking for is the one doing the looking. Stop searching, sit down, turn inward, and you find that you have always been home. This was not Chinese philosophy. This was not Confucian moralism. This was pure Indian Vedantic and Buddhist insight. The understanding that consciousness itself is the ultimate reality, and that liberation is not something to be achieved, but something to be recognized. Bodhidharma's approach was what scholars call Mahayana Zen, not the gradual purification of the Hinayana tradition, but the sudden, sword-like recognition of your own nature. As Red Pine writes, while others viewed Zen as purification of the mind or as a stage on the way to Buddhahood, Bodhidharma equated Zen with Buddhahood, and Buddhahood with the mind, the everyday mind. He pointed his disciples not to scriptures, but to rock walls, to the movements of tigers and cranes, to a hollow reed floating across a river, to a single sandal. He used the sword of prajna, wisdom, that his master Pragyatara had given him, to cut minds free from rules, trances, and texts. This was India's gift to China, not a religion of rules and rituals, but a technology of consciousness, a direct method for waking up. Section 7. The Disappearance. Bodhidharma's end is as mysterious as his life. According to the historical record compiled by Tao Yuan in 1002 AD, Bodhidharma died in 528 AD, on the 5th day of the 10th month, poisoned by a jealous monk who had not been chosen as his successor. His remains were buried at Tinglan Temple on Bear Ear Mountain near Loyang. But 3 years later, a Chinese government official encountered a monk walking alone through the mountains of Central Asia, heading toward India. The monk carried a staff from which hung a single sandal. The official recognized him instantly. It was Bodhidharma. "Where are you going?" the official asked. "Back to India," Bodhidharma replied. "Back to the Himalayas." When news of this encounter reached the monastery, the monks opened Bodhidharma's tomb. Inside, they found only one thing, a single sandal. The other was hanging from his staff, somewhere in the mountains, heading home. Whether this is history or legend matters less than what it reveals. Bodhidharma wanted no tomb, no temple, no statue built in his name. He wanted to disappear into the eternal snows of the Himalayas, leaving no footprints to be worshipped. His message was clear. Do not follow me, follow your own nature. He vanished. No one knows where he died. Somewhere in those vast, silent mountains that form the crown of India, the Indian prince who conquered China found his final meditation. Section 8. The Closing. Why this matters. Here is what most people don't realize about this story. When we talk about India's influence on the world, we think of spices, mathematics, yoga. But Bodhidharma's journey represents something far more profound. It represents the moment when Indian consciousness technology, developed over thousands of years by the rishis, the Buddha, and countless unnamed meditators, was transmitted directly into the heart of the world's oldest continuous civilization. And China did not resist it. Unlike military conquest, where the conquered resent the conqueror, China embraced Indian Buddhism with a hunger that stunned historians. As Osho noted, the conversion that happened in China is the only religious conversion in the whole history of mankind. Buddhism simply explained itself, and the beauty of the message was understood by the people. No swords, no forced conversions, no colonial exploitation. An Indian prince walked into the most powerful empire on earth and changed it forever, with nothing but silence, awareness, and the radical claim that every human being is already enlightened. 1500 years later, when you see a Zen garden in Kyoto, when you watch a Shaolin monk defy gravity, when you hold a cup of tea and feel a moment of peace, know that it all began with a ship from Mahabalipuram, a prince from Kanchipuram, and an idea from India that was too powerful for any army to carry. Bodhidharma did not conquer China. He awakened it.